What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope you're all having a good day. Happy Juneteenth, and hope everybody's enjoying it. I don't know whether you're all working or not, but either way, hope it's going well. And let's jump into today's slate. It's going to be, it's not the most exciting slate in the world. There's not a whole bunch of places to go, and we are still. Let me just double check that we didn't get the Giants starting lineups in yet. Sorry about that. Thought I had the page called up, but it wasn't. And we still don't have the Giants and Padres lineup started yet. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I like the White Sox, I like Texas, and I like the Giants, and then I like the Cincinnati. So basically the Cincinnati, Colorado, and Texas, Chicago is going to be a large part of what I do for a variety of reasons. I really like Texas because they're hard to get to, and I think that they're a really solid play. And I like Chicago because they're cheap, and Heaney is a massive all over the place, may walk 5 guys and give up 2 home runs type of situation, but at the same time could also be dominant. So I'm using some mid pitcher as well. So those are the guys I'm using. I think that 4-man stacks are okay today. I think that you can totally go 5. I have no problem with either. I have more 4-3-1s and 4-4s than I do 5-3s, but I do have some. And then we'll get into the pitching. So, and I'll talk about FanDuel a little bit. So the way I'm sort of doing it is I'm going to be well below the field on Burns on DraftKings, and I'm just playing one lineup on FanDuel. I'm going to play him over there. Yeah, you could argue about the type of strategy that doesn't need to be the way it is, all that stuff. Scherzer is my highest owned pitcher, followed by Pablo Lopez, followed by Paxton, followed by Brown, followed by Heaney, followed by Burns on DraftKings. Those are the guys I'm using. I don't mind if you want to get creative and try to play a little bit of Smiley, although I prefer the bats more in that game than I do the pitching. But I think Smiley would be the next place I could go to and feel okay about it. Catcher, Yasmani Grandal, Mitch Garver, Jonah Heim, Henry Davis. Those are the main ones for me. First base, Andrew Vaughn, Nate Lowe are my most used. Simeon, Castro are my most used second baseman. Third base, it's Berger, Young for me mostly. Seager is basically in all of my lineups right now, so I'm going to probably have to make some changes because I don't want 100%. Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Ezekiel Duran, Clint Frazier, Mike Tauchman, Brian Reynolds, Suzuki, Benintendi, and Adolis Garcia. That's pretty much my whole outfield pool on DraftKings. And remember, when you get on in here, ask any questions you want, throw in what's up and all that. If you do all that stuff if you want to. One note I did want to make about FanDuel that I'm doing a little bit differently is I actually think it's a pretty good slate to try to play multiple. I like Colorado, but 2 of my favorite bats are their catchers. So on FanDuel, I'm actually going to stack Colorado with Diaz and Alfaro. And I have a double stack in my one build on FanDuel with San Francisco and Colorado. I haven't ended up with as much Cincinnati as I thought I was going to. I am probably going to get some when we get off of this show because I do think Cincinnati is very reasonable. All right, let's go Paxton for Bunk Hoots. And it's funny because I said, well, I have Paxton at 30% and Scherzer at 56 and Pablo Lopez at 48. I actually have more money allocated to Paxton than I do anyone except for Scherzer. So I'm okay with that completely. Good to see you, Banks, in here. Good to see you, Kevin. The weather scares me a little bit. That's why I think I didn't build as much of it, and I tend to build those games later when I get a full weather report. I think it's going to play okay. I really do. Cincinnati's used to having games play in these type of temperatures. It's not like the best hitting conditions we've seen in Cincinnati, but it's still Cincinnati, which is the nut park. You know what I mean? I'm just siding more with the Rockies because of the ownership, but I think Cincinnati is very interesting too. And one thing you can do is you can maybe lower your exposure to that game or just put the exposures in the same spot because I do think both offenses are extremely viable and I wouldn't mind getting exposure to both of them is basically where I'm at. So, all right, Yoshida or Morel. Wow, that's a really weird question. Obviously, that's not a cash game question. That's a weird one for me. I don't have any of either of them. I don't have one piece of either of them. If I had to pick, it would be Morel. But I literally don't have one spot with Yoshida or Morel. I wouldn't mind Morel getting some of them. I have no idea why I would be playing Yoshida at this price against Pablo Lopez. I know he's a good hitter, but Pablo Lopez is like an awesome pitcher and very underrated. And Boston doesn't hit the ball nearly as well outside of Boston. You see, even when Pablo Lopez does give up some runs, they tend to be early and they tend to be minimized. He's pretty good at keeping things within reason. He has given up some home runs this year, but I like him in this matchup personally. All right, pop in any other questions or thoughts. We'll stay as long as you guys keep the stuff rolling here. Not a whole lot to go through, as I mentioned on this slate. Would have been nice if maybe they made the 640 cutoff so we could have had some of that KC Detroit game. I think Detroit would have been a fun team to stack. And it would have been, I wouldn't have minded getting a little bit of Barrios if we were able to play the Toronto-Miami game. India or Jock Peterson for a home run today? I love India as a real-life hitter. He's had 2 home runs in 80 at-bats against lefties this season. There is nothing about that would make me want to – nothing that would make me want to play him for a home run at odds that I'm sure are terrible. I like Jock today, so I'm playing him, so I'll go ahead and say him. I will put a caveat. Jock is batting second. I didn't line it. Notice that Matos in there, by the way, at 2.8 and 2.5 on FanDuel. He's an interesting play too. But yeah, just the one thing that we have to worry about with the Giants in general is the pinch hit situation. But I like the idea of Peterson possibly walking into a home run or two today. I think this is a good kind of matchup. The problem is, like, if we just look at the game log, we're going to just wonder to ourselves over and over again, why aren't we playing Michael Wacha? And some people are going to play Michael Wacha, but he's been like consistently good and hasn't been giving up home runs, hasn't been walking crazy people. Had a couple outlier games where he walked 4 guys, but nothing crazy. White Sox Giants. Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable. I'm just going to say that I would not be 5-man stacking the Giants tonight. Like, first of all, you have a good bullpen in San Diego, and you have a pitcher who basically, let's just go through it, right? I don't think that Michael Wacha has had the 2 struggle games early in the season, and basically for his last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, his last 8 starts, he's given up a total of 5 runs. Okay, it's not real encouraging. So, while I do like some of the Giants' bats, I think the full stack is not going to be my favorite thing, not the 5-man anyway. Chicago White Sox for me, but both the Cubs and White Sox are viable. I like the White Sox a little bit better, but I also like Heaney. I think it's a high, you know what I mean? If I'm playing 25% Heaney, so if I have 30% White Sox, I'm really playing both sides of that game. So that's sort of what I'm doing. Jock Peterson so Peterson would have been the answer to that one anyway, even though I don't particularly love that bet as a bet. Yeah, it's hard when you look at what Wacha's been doing. It's actually making me a little bit more uncomfortable about playing these Giants today. I'm still going to put one stack in a 4-man on FanDuel, but I don't think I'm going to be doing the 5-mans at all on DraftKings. All right, what else you guys got? I've posted my updated builds into the Discord. They're going to change. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up for those of you who are premium members. I did put my early builds in there, and I'm going to edit some and probably let you guys see a few more builds just before I get out of here. Anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Please click the like button. We appreciate the support. I don't know if there's a whole much more for me to go through on this particular slate. Like I said, I had a really nice time at the U.S. Open. Really enjoyed it. But it, didn't make any money, but it was still a really, really enjoyable event. I can only imagine how much fun it would be if you really were in there for $1 million at the end of it. I think that would have been pretty fun. But it could happen some other time. All right. So pretty much all the questions are drying up now. It looks like if there's anything else that I haven't touched on, please let me know. I am looking back at it and just noticing that Wacha is going to be completely unowned on DK. And I don't think Wacha is a bad play at 8,300. So I might even throw Wacha into a lineup or two just because of the consistency. And I don't see a huge gap between him and the top range. Thanks to you, Banks. Thanks to all you guys for making this so much fun. It's a little bit that not so fun time of year. We don't have all the baseball and we don't have all the basketball. We don't have all the football. We just got the baseball. We got some golf coming up still, even though we just lost the U.S. Open and the Masters happened and the PGA Championship all in the last couple months. But we still got some golf. And, Sheets has been covering, and so have Gold. The projections are up there for everything. SaberSim and Sheets is doing it for most of the other sports as well. So make sure to take a look at all that. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you guys hopefully at the top of the leaderboard shortly. Good luck.